What is going on, everybody? It is Mr. Jughead bringing you the news, and we're gonna be covering gun rights for a while now. I mean, I'm gonna do what I can to help you guys. It's not just me. You know, you guys that watch this really have to take the initiative. Take the 5 minutes that it takes to send a letter to your congressman or your state senators via email. It does not take a long time. I do it a lot now just because I know how to. I understand what to do and what to send. But this topic, as you see right in the headlines, you know, posted by Constitution School, also covered by InfoWars, how Obama is sidestepping Congress on gun control. And this is just a no-no. You know, Mr. Obama is just, you know, doing what he wants to, you know, get this agenda done. You know, he wants to increase the background checks. He wants to, get it to people where people register their weapons. And I know a lot of people out there are thinking, you know, background checks, increasing them is, you know, it's not that, you know, it's not a bad idea, but you guys don't know the full scoop of things. You know what I mean? When they do this, you know, what they're really saying is that the individual person like yourself and me can't exchange weapons. You know, we can't sell, a shotgun to, one another. We can't sell a long rifle to, each other. You know, we can't do that. You know, we won't be able to if this legislation goes through. I mean, people that are hobbyists, people that go to gun shows and they, buy a shotgun here, buy a rifle there. If you have a CPL or a license to carry a gun, you can just go in and buy a pistol. And then at that time, depending on what state you live in, you either can register it or you can just take it, exchange it, sell it for a couple dollars more, maybe get another one at another booth. You know, that is the great thing about our right to bear arms. You know what I mean? We can do what we want, you know what I mean? And the people that do these things, that go out and buy weapons, trade guns, buy and sell, just the everyday American, we're not criminals. That's not what we do. Criminals will always have guns. I mean, shit. Chicago, I've said this so many times. I mean, Chicago has the strictest gun laws in the United States of America, but let alone it has the highest murder rate and crime rate in the world. In the world. I mean, I'm talking the big world, the planet, the thing that we all live on, all the human species. Chicago has the highest murder rate and crime rate with the strictest gun controls in the nation. I mean, if that doesn't tell you gun control doesn't do anything, criminals will always find a way. And this bill just goes in, or this, article goes in talking about how, if Obama doesn't get the support from the House, that President Obama will proceed forward with his gun control agenda without their help, via an executive order is what it's saying here. So they're speculating that he will use an executive order to get this gun legislation through, and which is a crock of shit because that's a constitutional right that Obama has as president, is to use the executive order. So why is it okay for him to sign this executive order, but it's not okay for us to use our Second Amendment? And then it goes through on the lower part of this article, in which I'll leave a description to these articles down below in the description for you to go through and read if you'd like. But there's an area in here where it says Vice President Biden said Wednesday on the 27th, that he expects the upcoming Senate votes on the gun control to pretty much not go well, but he says it's just the beginning of the fight, the beginning of the White House fight. So, in my eyes, this quote that says, Vice President Biden said Wednesday, the expected upcoming Senate vote on gun control is only the beginning of the White House fight. Who are they fighting? Who is the White House fighting? Are they fighting the people that put them in office? Are they fighting the 317 million American citizens? Are they fighting the 290 million American gun owners? What are they doing? Because that is a crock of shit that he was actually ballsy enough to say that. And Joe Biden, his balls have gotten bigger and bigger in the last 4 or 5 years, and it is ridiculous. And they know it. Think about this. They know that this is the last term. There's no third term in office. They are doing whatever the fuck they want, and you need to understand this. You need to understand this. It's not a joke. It's not a conspiracy. It's not whatever you want it to be. It is a fact. It is simply a fact. And the fact that Joe Biden said that is ridiculous. But then again, the cool thing is that, we got Larry Reid, and which really seems to be on our side, and he's the, the Senate Majority Leader. So I'm really, really hoping and praying that, he is going to be the one that, obviously holds everything together, gets everything put properly, and, keeps us a free people. And I wanted to go over this too because I was talking to a friend a couple days ago. He came over and all that stuff, and we started talking a little bit about politics and what's going on. And we talked about the Constitution. And this right here is pretty much, you can find this. I'll leave a link for this down below, in which goes through the Bill of Rights, you know, the Constitution and the amendments. And, you know, he told me, well, he was like, Jughead, you know, the Bill of Rights is outdated. You know, the Constitution is, it's, you know, times have changed. I was like, do you know what you're saying? And he was like, no, times have changed. You know, today is not what it used to be, you know, 200 years ago. I was like, okay, let me get this right. So you're telling me that the freedom of speech has changed from today, from, you know, 200 years ago. He's like, no, that's the same. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm sorry, my bad. Wait a minute. The right of the people to be secure in their person's house, paper, or effects against unreasonable search and seizures are not valid. So that's not cool. You know, that's you know, times have changed. So people, you know, the police, all that stuff, they can come into your house, search and seize. They can go through all they want. They don't have to have a warrant. You know, so that's outdated, right? He was like, no, that's wrong. That's just wrong. I was like, yeah, I know that's wrong. I'm just trying to prove a point. So what makes our Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia being necessary to secure a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed? What makes that amendment different than the First Amendment, the Fourth Amendment? Please explain. Please interpret your logic into my brain so that I can understand where you come from. And he couldn't. And this is what I want a lot of you to understand. This Constitution was signed a long time ago. They knew what was in store. They knew how governments operated. They knew that sooner or later a government would feel so powerful that it could take over its people. And I'm not saying that's what's going on, but realistically, you got to look at it like that. If you try to disarm a nation, what keeps anybody else from invading or starting to become a dictatorship? I mean, I hate to use, you know, Hitler as a reference, but everybody knows about the Holocaust. Everybody knows about, you know, Hitler and what he did, you know, with, you know, he did. I think it was 5 years before the war that something was put in place where everybody had to register their weapons, and then they came for the weapons. You know, they came, took them all, and after that, a little bit after the war started, people started getting packed into cars, thrown into gas chambers, being killed on sight. I mean, you name it. They had nothing to defend themselves. So we don't want history to repeat itself. The United States of America, the land of the free, is the last hope on this planet, on this blue marble of free people. And don't let Obama bucks, don't let, you know, the Social Security benefits, don't let all that shit cloud your vision of what's really going on. You guys really need to turn the TV off, stop watching fucking Miss Wendy or whatever her dumbass is on TV, and start reading. Start reading. I hate reading, but I want to know what's going on. And what you read can't be interpreted any other way, in which a well-regulated militia being necessary to secure a free state, the right of the people to bear arms, shall not be infringed. You cannot interpret that any other way. Shall not be infringed. So anything that is put forward on gun legislation or gun laws is just an abomination of the Constitution, that if they can take the Second Amendment away, they can take the First away. They can take the Fourth away. And then we're fucked. It's that simple. So please wake up, people. Please start reading. Please start being informed. And if you want to, feel free to follow me on Twitter at Mr. Jughead87. And all I can say is God bless. I'm going to leave an article, or I'm going to leave a letter down below I would like for you guys to really think about sending to your state senators. Just copy and paste it, make it personal. You know, literally say, you know, put their names in it where it's necessary, you know, to make it direct. And then at the very end, you know, put sincerely whoever you are. You know what I mean? And be compassionate. You know, show exactly your true colors. Show that you are a patriot. Show that you care about life and liberty and, you know, the pursuit of happiness. You know, truly. And that's what we need. We need more Americans to send in these emails, to contact their senators and make their voices heard, because that's what's going to help us. That's what's going to, you know, deter the beast and do what's necessary. So thank you guys. I really appreciate your guys' support so far. And God bless to you all, and I'll be bringing you the news when I get it. You guys have a great day. Bye.